Hey, welcome back. It's McCartney Green, Susan Milner, and we are getting ready to read chapter 17 of book number 1, A Healing in Jesus' Name. We're going to treat New Orleans as one big street fight. Shelley listened, alert and attentive to her teacher as he instructed. What have I told you about street fighting? Shelley took only a moment. Get in and get it over with fast. Exactly. And defensively, countering an assault with a kick can quickly stop a confrontation because the kick is so powerful. You want to stop the confrontation quickly because the longer you fight, the greater your opponent's chances become. Eric was pulling out a kicking bag as they spoke. This will be good for you as small as you are. It will increase your reach. You're going to go for your opponent's midsection mostly. The higher the kick, the more power you lose. He patted the area of the bag he wanted Shelley to aim for. Left leg, roundhouse, go. She moved forward and kicked, over and over, changing legs, changing kicks. Shelley worked tirelessly, as Eric knew she would. The training regimen and daily schedules had been adhered to religiously since her recovery, and after 5 weeks, Shelley's teacher and sparring partners felt her chances of finally winning a tournament were good. The last few weeks before Mardi Gras were spent focusing on jiu-jitsu grappling techniques and the quickness of kung fu. Shelley was more excited and more confident than she'd ever been. Eric, not willing to let Shelley be alone and unprotected, had moved into the small downstairs bedroom off of the den in Shelley's home, so she felt safe and secure. Since his apartment was paid up until June, he held on to it for times Ricky or the Lee brothers were in town. That sure is a noisy truck going by. The night before they were to leave for New Orleans, quiet and pensive, dressed in a thick gray sweatsuit, Shelley slipped out the back door into the chill night air to sit on the trampoline. Eric gave her the space that she needed to work things out. He'd been content to watch her from the window until he saw her shiver. It was then he pulled a large blanket from the closet and joined her. She sat cross-legged in the center of the trampoline, staring up at the stars, but smiled at him as he approached. He sat down behind her, wrapping his arms and legs around her, and pulled the blanket around them both. "Better?" he asked. "Yes, thanks," she answered softly. "Are you worried about things?" She shrugged, rubbing her hands over the surface of the trampoline. It's too bad they didn't cut this up, because we needed a new one." "Shelley, you want a new tramp? I'll get you one. But be careful what you say. There's power in words. Is that what you're thinking about? The men who attacked you?" She sighed and shook her head. "Well, not really. I guess I was just thinking about what the future holds." He nodded. "Okay, then, let me ask you a question. Have you decided yet what you think about God?" "What do I think about him?" "Well, you told me once you weren't sure if he was real or just some fairy tale that people make up to feel better. I've taught you many things over these past months, so I'm wondering, do you believe in him yet? I'm not pressuring you. I'm just wondering because you asked what the future holds, and the Lord has a plan for you, for your future." "You really think so?" "I know he does. He sent me to you. He brought us together. He has a plan." "Oh, does his plan include James Crane attacking me?" Eric smiled. "This is a common question. He gives all of us free will. James will face God's consequences for his actions, and God allows things to happen so that we can grow. He hones us in the fire, and really, Shelley, if you think about it, you have grown much stronger because of the difficulties that you faced." Shelley nodded thoughtfully. "Yes, and I have to admit, our little Sunday Bible sessions and the few times we visited those churches, it's not just been enlightening, but also I've begun to feel different, calmer, stronger. I mean, I think I do feel like God is real. It's kind of like I can feel him smiling down at me sometimes." Does that sound crazy? Tears welled in Eric's eyes. He lifted his face upward and whispered a soft, "Thank you, Jesus." "No, Shelley, that doesn't sound crazy at all. You're beginning to build a relationship with him. He is sending you his Holy Spirit to bear witness to you that he is real, that Jesus is the Son of God, that he died to pay the price of our wrongdoings, and that he was resurrected, making it possible for all of us to be resurrected. and be with our families and loved ones eternally. His plan takes away the pain and sorrows of life. Shelley nodded. Now, that sounds like a good plan. Do you think his plan includes me winning the mart? Have you asked him that? Well, not really. Well, talk to him, Shelley. Every day, every night, through prayer. Take time to develop a relationship with him. You will begin to hear his voice, sometimes a still small voice inside your head, and sometimes he makes a very loud statement. Like your dreams? Yes, like that. And when you build this relationship, you'll know of a surety that he is real. He is alive. You can trust him, and that, in the long run, all will be well. She sighed. I'll do that. Eric smiled. Well, I know when you say you'll do something, you will. So tell me at this moment, what is it you want for your future? I guess I want to win the mart, but I'll settle for doing well in New Orleans. Well, you should never settle for less than what you want. We'll do some praying and some visualizations for the mart soon. Right now, like you just wisely said, let's focus on New Orleans. You know this tournament will be the biggest one you fought in yet. Well, you keep saying that. How is it so different from all the others? Because, as we discussed, it's bare knuckles, no holds barred, no headgear, no chest protection, no anything except your mouth guard. You'll have to depend completely on the strength of your body and the quickness of your mind to protect you, similar to the mart. Does that frighten you? She thought a moment. You know, for some reason, I'm not afraid at all. I think I'm actually looking forward to it. Eric nodded. Good. I'm glad we're going for a few days early. I'm really excited. He touched his lips to her cheek. I'm glad you're excited. I know you've arranged for Bree to take care of the boys while we're gone, and I've taken upon myself to ask Brian to keep an eye on Bree and the boys while we're gone. Well, what about Ricky? Well, Ricky, Jason, and Justin will be joining us. Wow, I guess this really is an important tournament. Oh, it is. It's a turning point. New scene. They arrived during Mardi Gras. Shelley's excitement was short-lived, however, when over dinner, Eric put a damper on her plans. What do you mean we can't go out for a while? It's Mardi Gras, you know. Mardi Gras? I've been dying to actually see and be a part of a real live Mardi Gras. Shelley could scarcely believe her ears. Eric shook his head. I hadn't realized that you thought you were going to attend the festivities. I'm sorry, but no way. Not only is it based in paganism originally, but it is, in essence, a celebration of sin and debauchery, and there are all kinds of people acting foolishly and irresponsibly, and therefore it is not the best activity to indulge in. And we have one day to prepare for the tournament, and you, my love, are going to be in bed by 9. No, I'm not, Shelley replied rebelliously. I'm going out. I want to see the parades and hear the music and collect some beads. Shout all you want, but I'm going out. Eric calmly placed his fork down beside his plate, but his cool facade didn't fool the others at the table. Ricky and the Lee brothers steadied for the blast. You are here as my student, and only because you're my student, and you'll do as I say. Sometimes I am truly amazed at the lack of respect that you display. Her lips pursed, and he softened. Shelley, why do you have to be so difficult? Difficult, she cried. You don't know what difficult is. You're so used to everyone jumping whenever you snap your fingers. The others at the table exchanged glances as Eric's face darkened. You're the one, Shelley, who's so used to getting your way. I've spoiled you to the point that you don't know what to do when someone finally tells you no. His words rang true enough for Shelley to calm down a bit. Eric, please, just for a little while. Wasn't it you who said a tree must learn to bend? She pleaded. Well, not this time. Not when you're about to fight in your most important tournament this year. We have a precise plan to follow so that you'll be at your optimum. Sorry. The reason we're here is to fight in a tournament. Keep your priorities straight. 8 hours of sleep, not 1 second less. There is a reason for self-discipline. Shelley rolled her eyes. I can't believe this. She sat back during the rest of the meal, arms folded on her chest. You need to eat, Jason coaxed. I'm not hungry. Ricky put his hand on her shoulder. Come on, Shelley. Don't be upset. I hate it when you're upset. You know Dad only has your best interest in mind. She conceded that. I know. But he's just so stubborn. What could a couple of hours hurt? She said, more to Eric than to Ricky. It was Justin who answered the question. Well, it's really a matter of self-discipline and self-restraint. And a couple of hours could make all the difference in the world if you get involved in a long battle, Jason added. Shelley looked from face to face. You men are all alike, she said bitterly. What is it, some sort of brotherhood? Eric only shook his head. They left the restaurant and headed back to the hotel, an old white 2-story building with an outer walkway running along both levels. They were on the upper level, opening the doors to their rooms when a southern voice called to them. Eric, Shelley, hey, it's me, Angel. They peered over the balcony to see the beautiful blonde standing in the parking lot, looking up at them. Hi, Angel, Ricky called. Hey, Ricky. Are y'all here for the tournament? Oh, of course you are. What a dumb question. Me too. But I'm going partying tonight first. Angel ran up the stairs before she continued. Shelley, why don't you come along? You and Eric both. Shelley's eyes pleaded with Eric, who stood stoically. Well, I wish I could, but Eric won't let me go out. He says I have to be in bed by 9. Angel gasped. Oh, you poor thing. Goodness, I'm so glad my instructor isn't here telling me what to do. I'd go crazy. Oh, Eric, no offense, honey. I'm just glad you're my friend and not my teacher. He remained silent. He was just realizing that he'd never seen her with her teacher, and he wondered who he was. So, Shelley, what belt are you now? Angel asked. Red, Shelley answered shortly, still pouting over her curfew. Oh, my goodness, you're moving right along. You finally made it to my rank. We just might end up competing with each other. She winked at Shelley. Don't worry, honey. I'll go easy on you. Out of curiosity, all 4 men turned to see the look on Shelley's face. They had to keep from laughing. Oh, don't look so sour, honey. I was just teasing you. Shelley smiled stiffly. Angel looked at her watch. Well, I've got to go, and it's almost Shelley's bedtime, so... Bye, y'all. Guess I'll see you at the fights. She scurried off. Silently, Eric turned, let Shelley in her room, and handed her the key. Jason and Justin are on one side, and Ricky and I are on the other side if you need anything. Now go inside, do your stretching, praying, meditating, and then go to bed. He put his finger under her chin to raise her mouth to kiss, but she pulled away and slammed the door in his face. Madly, she threw off her clothes. She'd washed her hands and face and brushed her teeth and begun to stretch when she thought she heard someone knock on her door. She peeked out the curtain. It was Angel. However, she wasn't knocking on Shelley's door. She was knocking on Eric's. Shelley watched a moment. She couldn't hear what they were saying, but after a few moments, Angel went inside his room. Shelley turned from the window and threw herself down on the bed. Don't be jealous, she told herself. It's probably nothing. It's probably very innocent. Besides, Ricky's there, too. Still, though, there was pain in her heart that she had to go to bed like a little girl, and Angel was in there with Eric. She heard the door close. Good, she's leaving, Shelley thought. She peeked out her curtain again, and her mouth fell open. Angel and Eric were walking arm in arm down the stairs. Shelley stood on her tiptoes. She could barely see over the balcony to Eric's rental car. He was opening the door for her. Shelley turned around in a rage, too mad to cry. Surely he doesn't think that he's going out to party with Angel while she's stuck in her room. Immediately she went to her suitcases and pulled out the red dress and shoes that she brought, thinking that she would get to attend the festivities. Moments later, she modeled in front of the mirror. Not bad, she murmured. She brushed her hair back, letting it fall loosely over one shoulder, grabbed the key, stuffed it in her purse, turned off the lights, and slowly opened the door. In her stocking feet, she tiptoed past Jason and Justin's room to the stairs, and once she was down the stairs, she stepped back into her shoes and was out into the streets in a flash. 10 minutes later, she slipped into the crowd and happily wandered down Bourbon Street. They'll never even know I'm gone. They won't want to wake me, she thought with a smile. New scene. The sights and sounds of the street were bright, noisy, irreverent, and wonderful. Brilliantly colored costumes, beads everywhere, music drifting from every building, and the people acting so wild and crazy, Shelley couldn't help but laugh aloud. She stopped to watch a passing parade, and someone threw a huge handful of beads at her, and she scrambled to catch them and put them on. A policeman on horseback smiled at her and tipped his hat. She wandered through the crowd and drifted down a side street where a group of onlookers gathered around a window. Shelley curiously peeked over someone's shoulder. An elderly black man sat at a piano, hammering the keys. He looked ancient, yet was playing the most amazing jazz piano Shelley had ever heard. His gnarled old hands pounded the keyboard. They moved so swiftly, Shelley couldn't believe the sound could be so clear and melodic. Perfection. She loved it. She pushed herself inside so she could hear and see better, and that's when she noticed the man was blind. Leaning on the piano, she let the music carry her away and found tears coming to her eyes. He was magnificent. She noticed a large glass jar on the piano filled with money, mostly dollar bills. Grabbing the only money she had, a $20 bill, she stuffed it in the jar and then moved back to listen just a while longer. "Hi," a female voice said. Shelley peered over at a tall, pretty woman with short brown hair. "Hi," Shelley answered. I couldn't help but notice that you've been here a long time." "He's wonderful, isn't he?" the woman asked. Shelley smiled. "Yes, he is. They call him the Piano Man. He's pretty famous around here. It's nice to see someone who appreciates good jazz. Do you live here in New Orleans?" "Oh, no," Shelley replied. "Oh, then you came in just for Mardi Gras?" the woman asked. "No, actually, I'm here for a martial arts tournament." "You're kidding." "Me too. Are you competing?" "Yes," Shelley said, turning her full attention to the woman. "Me too. What division?" "Red belt," Shelley replied. "What about you?" "Black belt." "That is so awesome. I can't wait to be a black belt." The woman smiled and held out her hand. "I'm Casey." "I'm Shelley." The women shook hands and Casey spoke again. "Come over and have a drink with me." "Oh, I'd like to," Shelley said, "but I don't drink, and I just gave all my money to the piano man anyway." "Why don't you drink?" Casey asked. "I've never liked the taste." "Oh, I bet you've never had a strawberry daiquiri." "Come on, try one, my treat," Casey coaxed, and Shelley relented. They giggled as Shelley pretended to be afraid of the drink, and she finally took a sip. This is really good," Shelley said, surprised. "Told you so," Casey laughed. They stayed and listened to the piano man, drinking strawberry daiquiris and talking about the upcoming tournament. A few daiquiris later, Casey grabbed Shelley's arm. "I have an idea. You want to do shots?" "Shots? You mean like the little glasses of whiskey?" "Yeah, but you can shoot anything. Let's do schnapps. Peppermint schnapps is my favorite. It doesn't taste so bad." She motioned to the bartender. I don't know about this," Shelley giggled, looking at the glass set before her. "Oh, just one. How much could that little bit hurt, huh?" "Yeah, how much could it hurt?" Shelley repeated, already tipsy from the daiquiris. Several shots and hours later, they walked out into the street, mingling with the crowds, enjoying the festivities and laughing at everything. The alcohol made Shelley feel happy, and suddenly her little spat with Eric seemed silly and unimportant. Some of the crowd had thinned out, and Casey and Shelley wound around, balancing carefully on their heels, until they came to a small nightclub with the sign "Amateur Hour" on the window. They slipped inside to check it out. A woman on stage danced and sang karaoke while people laughed and cheered, and Shelley and Casey giggled. "How about it, Shelley?" Casey said. "Let's do it." Casey had a wild look in her eye, and Shelley laughed. "You do it. I'm not going to." "Come on, Shelley, there's a $50 prize for the best act of each hour." "Let's do it." Shelley anxiously bit her lip. "You first." They spoke to a man who put their names down on a list, and while they waited, they had more of Shelley's new favorite drink and watched the other performances, and finally it was their turn. Casey climbed up on the stage, singing and dancing to an old 50s tune. She went all out, shimmering and shaking, and everyone went crazy, and Shelley was on her feet applauding when Casey stepped down. "Your turn, sweetie pie," Casey laughed. Shelley's eyes went wide with stage fright. "I've changed my mind. Besides, I don't sing." "Oh, no," Casey said. "A deal's a deal." But how do I choose my music?" "Oh, you don't," Casey said as she pushed her up on the stage. "You sing and dance to whatever they play." Shelley stood nervously on the stage waiting for the music, and the crowd was already on their feet. The music started. You've lost that loving feeling. Oh, great, Shelley said. They give me something with no beat. Do something, Casey yelled as she applauded. Shelley began to sway to the music, her long hair swinging from side to side. The alcohol removing all inhibitions, she thought about Eric and floated over the stage, her hips gently rocking as she crooned out the tune. When the music ended, the crowd was on their feet. We have a winner, the man said, waving a 50 and then stuffing the money in her hand. She stepped down off the stage and Casey hugged her. You were great. Have you ever done anything like that before? Shelley answered. She sighed. For some reason, some of the happiness she'd been feeling earlier was wearing off. Casey answered her cell phone. When she hung up, she grinned at Shelley. Come on, superstar, I've got someone I want you to meet. Cute guy. His name is Mickey. Casey pulled Shelley along, heading out the door to a dark nightclub on the next street. Two men stood up as Casey introduced them. Wow, you didn't say she was such a looker, Mickey said. He immediately put his arm around Shelley and sat her down in the chair next to him, and Shelley began to feel uneasy. She tried to shrug his arm off, but he wouldn't budge. Casey hugged the arm of a rotund man with long sideburns and a mustache who'd been introduced as Ike. Let's go in there, Casey said, pointing to a door next to the currently unoccupied stage. It's so loud out here, I can barely hear you. Shelley, grateful that Mickey removed his arm from her shoulder so they could move, went quickly. Inside was a couch, chair, and a large table. It looked like an employee's break room. Here, Shelley said to Casey, offering her the money she just won, for all the drinks. I have to be getting back. Oh, no, the drinks were my treat, Casey grinned. She folded the bill neatly in half, and then half again. Smiling, she slowly pulled out the top of Shelley's dress and stuffed the money down into her bra, giving it a little pat. Have you ever been with a girl? Making its way through her fatigue and the fuzz of the alcohol, a warning light finally went off somewhere in Shelley's brain. I really need to be going. Oh, come on, Shelley, don't be a party pooper, Casey cried. Mickey came up behind Shelley, wrapping his arms around her waist and whispering in her ear. Yeah, we just met. Don't leave now. Shelley pressed down to make him release his hold on her. It's been fun, Casey, but I need to go. If Eric finds out I'm gone, he'll kill me. Eric? Casey asked, even though she already knew who Eric was. Everyone knew. He's my instructor, she answered. And he doesn't know where you are? Casey asked as she laughed. Fear struck Shelley, and she began backing toward the door. Casey sprang up quickly, though, and grabbed Shelley's hand. Aw, come on, don't leave now. No, I really need to go, Shelley said, her voice quivering. Mickey put one hand on her back. I don't think so, honey, he said, grabbing her wrist with his other hand. Casey moved in close to Shelley and stroked her cheek. You're not leaving just yet, she purred. Shelley struggled against Mickey's hold. Laughing, Casey sashayed over to the fat man who'd been sitting on the couch, only watching up to this point. He was smelly and dirty looking, but Casey didn't seem to mind. She sat on his lap and planted an open-mouthed kiss on him, and Shelley felt the darkness of evil and debauchery surrounding her. She suddenly felt the need to run. Twisting her arm from Mickey's grasp, she moved toward the door, but Mickey grabbed her beads and pulled. Oh, you're not going anywhere, sweetheart. Shelley wasted no more time. She pulled back and delivered a blow to each temple. Beads scattered across the floor. He let go of her, but she slipped on the beads. Casey and the other man were on her before she could get up. Shelley punched Casey in the face and rolled away. She started to run, but the fat man grabbed Shelley by the arm, and she kicked, catching him right in the face as her shoe went flying, but he didn't let go. Before she could try again, Casey grabbed her other arm, and together they pulled her backwards toward the couch. Sitting on the couch, they pinned Shelley's legs in between their own and twisted her arms back from the elbows. Shelley found herself immobile, and Mickey walking toward her, holding a pair of scissors. She was completely sober now. Oh, man, what had she done? She'd snuck away from the one person who had her well-being uppermost in his mind. Mickey held the scissors out with a crooked grin, grabbed the hem of her dress, and slowly began cutting the material, making a line toward her abdomen. Shelley struggled, trying to wiggle out of their grip, which made Casey and the fat man shriek with laughter. As they laughed, though, Shelley's leg slipped from between Casey's, and Shelley reacted immediately. She placed a front kick to Mickey's forearm, and the scissors flew up in the air, and the fat man released his hold on Shelley to dodge the scissors coming down, and Shelley swung her now free arm around toward Casey, delivering a blow to her nose, and Casey fell over, grabbing her face and cursing. Shelley scrambled to her feet and kicked to Mickey's knee, and he went down, and she turned to face the fat man as she kicked off her other shoe to ready herself, but he only sat on the couch laughing, apparently having no intention of coming after her. Shelley groped for her purse and shot out the door. She flew down the streets in her bare feet, but she was turned around in her panic and couldn't find her way back to the hotel. It seemed she ran down countless alleyways. Everything looked alike. Stopping to catch her breath, she leaned against the cold brick of a building. Eric told her many times about reaching out to God, especially when you feel all alone or confused. He'd prayed with her many times. She'd been praying on her own lately. It seemed right now might be a good time to pray for herself. "Dear Lord," she whispered, I made a bad decision, and I'm lost, and I'm scared, and I need your help. I won't blame you if you don't want to help me, because I know it's my fault I'm in this predicament. I'm sorry I messed up. Please, Lord, if you're willing, help me find my way back." Only a moment later, Shelley felt the most amazing peace come over her, and tears welled in her eyes as she felt the presence of the Lord so clearly, so immediately. He was acknowledging her. He knows her. He hears her. He's real. She suddenly realized that she no longer felt any fear. She began to run, laughing as she did, giddy with the new feeling of being present with God. "I got away," she said aloud, "and I was thinking I did it by myself without anyone's help, but I did have help. God has been with me. Thank you, Jesus," she said loudly. She giggled with glee. "Now, if I can just get back in bed before Eric finds out I'm gone." "Look around you," she thought she heard. Collecting her wits, she looked closely at the landmarks and recognized the piano man's place. It was empty now and dark, making Shelley wonder what time it could be. And now that she'd gained her bearings, she ran as fast as she could until the hotel finally came into view. It was a beautiful sight. Digging through her purse for the key, she tiptoed past Justin and Jason's door and slipped quietly into her room. 4 tired, worried faces stared up at her. 3 of them smiled. 1 glared with anger. Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And that is the end of chapter 17. Another pretty short chapter. I just have to share something with whoever might be listening. The piano man is something I took straight out of my own life, but I wasn't in New Orleans. I was in Atlanta, and there was underground Atlanta, and the streets were cobbled, and there was a storefront, and I looked in there, and there was a man playing the piano, an old black man, and when I sat and listened to him, I realized he was blind, and it was so amazing to listen to him play that jazz piano. Something I will never, ever forget. It was wonderful. So I just thought I'd share that with you. You guys, see you next time. Have a great day.